If you could travel back 200,000 years and meet your earliest ancestors, you'd smell them long before you saw them. Not because they were dirty, because they smelled like humans, and we've almost forgotten what that even means. We've spent the last 100 years erasing it, so let's rebuild it from scratch. Start with the most basic question. Why do people smell at all? Here's the part that surprises everyone. Your sweat is almost completely odorless. You could collect a cup of fresh sweat, and it would barely smell of anything. The stink doesn't come from you. It comes from the things living on you. Your skin is a rainforest of bacteria, millions of them in every armpit. Now, you have two kinds of sweat glands. Most of your body is covered in apocrine glands, which make the watery sweat that cools you down. But in a few places, your armpits, your groin, you have a second kind called apocrine glands. These don't make watery sweat. They make a thick, oily fluid loaded with proteins and fats. These glands stay quiet your whole childhood. They only switch on at puberty. That's why a young kid can run around all day and still smell of almost nothing. On its own, that oily fluid still doesn't smell. But the bacteria in your armpit treat it like a buffet. In 2020, scientists at the University of York found the exact culprit, a single bacterium called Staphylococcus hominis. It carries an enzyme that breaks that oily sweat into a new compound, a thioalcohol. And thioalcohols are pungent. We're talking onion, sulfur, that unmistakable sharp tang of a gym bag left in the sun. You don't make the smell. A microbe does, the second it gets fed. Which raises a strange question. If the smell needs a specific gene in a specific bacterium, do all humans even have it? And the answer is no. There's a single gene called ABCC11 that decides this. One tiny change, in one letter of your DNA. And here's where it gets interesting. That same gene controls something completely unrelated. Your earwax. If your earwax is wet and sticky, you almost certainly have body odor. If it's dry and flaky, there's a good chance you barely produce any at all. In a 2006 study, geneticists traced this single mutation. The dry earwax, low odor version is most common in people of East Asian descent. In some populations, the large majority barely produce any underarm odor. And when you trace which version came first, the smelly one is the original. The odorless version is the newcomer. Sit with that for a second. Body odor isn't a flaw. It's the factory setting of our species. The first humans didn't just happen to smell. They were built to. The people who barely smell today are the exception, carrying a change that showed up much later. So now we can actually answer the question. What did the first humans smell like? Start with the body. Apocrine sweat, fed to bacteria, all day, with no soap to interrupt it. Add the smoke. Every one of them lived around fire. Wood smoke soaks into hair and skin, and it never really leaves. Add their food, no processed anything, just meat, roots, and whatever they could gather. Their breath, their hands, their hair, all of it carrying the camp around with them. And add a lifetime outdoors in the same animal skins through every season. A modern person dropped into that camp would find it overwhelming. But to them, it wasn't a smell at all. It was just the smell of people. And here's the thing we forget. That smell did a job. We treat body odor as pure embarrassment. For most of our history, it was information. In 1995, a Swiss researcher named Klaus Wedekind ran an experiment that's now famous. He had a group of men wear the same plain t-shirt for 2 nights. No soap, no deodorant, no perfume. Then he had women smell the unwashed shirts and rate them. The results weren't random at all. Women tended to prefer the smell of men whose immune systems were the most different from their own. A specific set of genes, the ones that build your body's defenses. Their noses were reading a stranger's immune system through a dirty shirt. That's what the smell was for. Underneath the stink was a signal about health, about genes, about who you were. The first humans were broadcasting it constantly and reading it on each other without ever knowing. We like to think humans are bad at smelling, that dogs live in a whole world of scent and we barely notice anything. That's mostly a myth. In 2014, researchers estimated the human nose can tell apart more than 1 trillion different smells. A newborn baby, only days old, can already pick out the scent of its own mother. We never stop being creatures of smell. We just stop paying attention. So if smelling is so useful, why have we spent thousands of years fighting it? Because the moment humans could make new smells, they did. The first perfume maker we know by name wasn't in Paris. She lived in Mesopotamia more than 3,000 years ago. Her name was Tapputi, and a clay tablet records her method. distilling flowers and oils to capture a scent. She's one of the first chemists in all of recorded history, and she was making perfume. The Egyptians burned fragrant resins for their gods and rubbed scented oils into their skin. The Romans turned getting clean into a ritual. They had no soap as we know it. Instead, they'd oil up their whole body, then scrape the oil, sweat, and dirt off with a curved metal tool called a strigil. And the word perfume itself comes from Latin, perfumum. It means through smoke. The very first perfumes were things you burned. Then came one of the strangest turns in the whole story. For a long stretch of medieval Europe, people grew afraid of bathing. After waves of plague, a terrifying idea took hold. They believed hot water opened your pores and let disease slip inside the body. So washing with water became something dangerous. Instead, the wealthy wiped themselves down with linen and drowned the smell in perfume. For centuries, the answer to body odor wasn't to wash it away. It was to cover it up. Real deodorant is shockingly recent. The first one was trademarked in 1888. It was called Mum. The first antiperspirant came around 1903, and it was so acidic it ate holes in clothing. People didn't trust it at first, so companies set out to convince an entire culture that its own natural smell was shameful. One famous campaign warned women they might be quietly offending everyone around them, and never being told why. And it worked. In just a couple of generations, a smell that every human had carried for hundreds of thousands of years became something to hide. So picture it one more time. For 99% of our story, every single person you ever met smelled of sweat, smoke, and skin. It told them who was healthy. It told them who belonged to their group. It was as much a part of someone as their voice or their face. And then, in about 100 years, we made it vanish. We didn't just invent a way to smell nice. We taught ourselves that our own scent, the one thing that's been with us the entire time, was something to be ashamed of. The first humans smelled like humans. We've spent the last century trying very hard not to.